Have you ever wondered why some people seem to tap into levels of reality most of us can't even fathom? Have you felt that there's something greater, hidden and pulsing beneath the surface, yet it always seems to slip through your grasp? What if I told you that the quantum field, that vast matrix of infinite possibilities, guards its greatest secrets from those who aren't yet ready to receive them? The truth is simple and immensely powerful. The universe doesn't respond to effort. It responds to frequency. In this video, you'll discover why the reality you desire already exists and what's truly standing between you and collapsing it into now. It isn't about chasing after it, it's about tuning in. And if you've made it this far, it's because something inside you is already awakening. Comment below. I tune into what is already mine. Declare it to the universe and activate your alignment frequency. Among the few scholars brave enough to push beyond the boundaries of traditional science, Jacobo Grinberg stands out as one of the most daring and revolutionary minds of our time. A Mexican neuroscientist, Grinberg dedicated his life to exploring the mysteries of consciousness, the quantum field, and how the human mind interacts with reality. Unlike most scientists, he wasn't afraid to cross the line between science and the sacred. His work with shamans and ancestral traditions led him to propose the neuronal field theory, a hidden information matrix that connects all beings and shapes what we call reality. Grinberg believed that the external world isn't fixed, but rather a direct reflection of our perceptual structure. In other words, what we see out there is merely an echo of what we vibrate in here. This insight changes everything. We are not victims of circumstances. We are co-creators of reality. Any lack of coherence between what we feel, think, and desire prevents possibilities from collapsing into tangible outcomes. And the quantum field, a living intelligence permeating all, doesn't respond to willpower, but to frequency. Grinberg didn't just theorize this, he embodied it, and perhaps that's why he vanished so mysteriously. Have you noticed how certain spiritual truths and higher realities only reveal themselves to those who've undergone profound inner transformations? That's no accident. The quantum field, this invisible intelligence that infuses all existence, is unfailingly precise. It operates by resonance, not by desire. That means it will only reveal what is in harmony with your vibrational state. If you still vibrate scarcity, doubt, or anxiety, the field cannot and will not deliver the frequencies of abundance, peace, and manifestation. Not out of punishment, but simply because you haven't become compatible with that reality. Jacobo Grinberg used to say that the external world isn't objective, but a projection of our mental structure. That means what you perceive as reality is merely the reflection of what your inner field can process. If your mind is programmed for fear, it will filter the quantum field's information to reinforce that fear. If you're immersed in haste, urgency, or a need to prove yourself to the world, your frequency is misaligned with what you truly want. No matter how much you meditate, affirm, or visualize, nothing manifests. Because effort doesn't drive reality's collapse. Your internal state does. The quantum field isn't a reward system. It's neutral. It doesn't care how much you want something. It cares how much you've become it. This is why so many people feel frustrated by the law of attraction. They believe that asking, visualizing, and repeating mantras is enough, yet they persist in vibrating lack, fear, and frustration. And the field, ever obedient, mirrors that vibration exactly. The hidden truth of the field is simple. You already are everything you seek. You'll only recognize it when you let go of the illusion that something's missing. Being ready, then, isn't about moral worthiness, but vibrational coherence. It's the moment when your thoughts, emotions, and actions stop contradicting each other. It's when you quit saying, "I want abundance," while vibrating, "I'm afraid of scarcity." It's when you stop seeking love outside and start feeling love in every cell of your body. At that point, the quantum field begins to open. Realities that once seemed unreachable draw near. Synchronicities appear. Paths form, not because you forced anything, but because you became what you once sought. And that's why the quantum field conceals certain realities, not out of malice, but out of perfection. The truth is always available, but it can only be perceived by those who vibrate in harmony with it. Those not yet ready simply can't see it, even when it's right before their eyes. We live in a society that glorifies action. From childhood, we're taught that the more we do, the more we achieve, that success comes from effort, sweat, and sacrifice. Though action has its place in manifestation, it becomes an obstacle when born of lack. When you chase something because you feel incomplete, you actually reinforce that absence. In the quantum field, that energetic incoherence doesn't go unnoticed. It becomes exactly what's reflected back to you. Jacobo Grinberg taught that reality is shaped by the structure of consciousness, not by the volume of physical actions. This means the quality of your inner state carries far more weight in creating your reality than anything you do externally. Quantum physics shows us that the field responds to resonance, not to the intensity of movement. In other words, the universe isn't impressed by how hard you're chasing your dreams, but by how much you already vibrate at the frequency of living them. Here lies the great trap. The more you believe you need to do something to earn what you want, the more you unconsciously affirm that you don't yet have it. That belief becomes your vibrational signature. You declare abundance, but vibrate lack. You visualize love, but vibrate loneliness. You ask for freedom, but remain emotionally bound to the fear of failure. The quantum field does not respond to your desires, but to what you are being. The result? Action becomes resistance. Every step turns into a struggle. Things take longer to happen or don't happen as expected. And the worst part, you begin to doubt the process, blame yourself, and think you're doing something wrong. But the mistake isn't in the action itself, it's in the frequency behind it. When you act from a state of alignment, action becomes inspired, it flows, connects, and manifests. When you act from urgency, lack, or desperation, action creates friction. It closes doors and pushes away what you seek most. The secret, then, isn't to stop acting, but to stop acting as a way to compensate for deficiency. It's to act as an expression of who you already are. The quantum field responds to coherence, thinking, feeling, and acting as if what you desire is already reality. That's the key. Once you internalize this, the need to chase disappears. In its place, a new rhythm emerges, one where action becomes light, fluid, and magnetic. Because in the end, those who chase declare energetically that they're distant. Those who are aligned simply attract. And those who have become what they desire no longer need to seek. They merely allow everything to come to them. Most people aiming to manifest a new reality focus on tools, affirmations, visualizations, rituals. But what few understand is that the true code for collapsing possibilities in the quantum field isn't in what you do, it's in what you vibrate. Vibrational coherence is the linchpin. It happens when your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs perfectly harmonize with what you wish to experience. With that congruence, reality has no choice but to reorganize to reflect that new state of being. Jacobo Grinberg argued that perception shapes reality, and that perception arises from internal structures, often hidden in the unconscious. If your mind says, "I want prosperity," but your heart is steeped in fear, insecurity, or doubt, you're sending conflicting signals to the field. And the field doesn't respond to your conscious intention, but to your dominant frequency. This explains why so many get frustrated with spiritual practices. They follow the manifestation script without changing their vibrational foundation. It's like painting a cracked wall without fixing the foundation. The appearance changes briefly, but the structure remains compromised. Vibrational coherence, therefore, isn't a fleeting emotional state. It's a deep integration of thought, feeling, and action. It's when you think abundance, feel gratitude as if it's already real, and act like someone who trusts life's flow. In this state, there's no effort, no anxiety, no need to make it work. There's presence, surrender, and alignment, and the quantum field, which responds directly to coherence, collapses possibilities that were previously invisible. Joe Dispenza, another figure bridging science and spirituality, teaches that thoughts are electrical and emotions are magnetic. Together, they form an electromagnetic signature sent into the field. That signature functions like a code that determines what you attract. When you live in vibrational coherence, your code is clear, stable, and potent, and the field responds with synchronicities, opportunities, and encounters that feel magical, though they're simply reflections of your new vibration. On the other hand, when there's incoherence, when you think positively but feel fear, when you visualize but act with distrust, the field becomes confused. The message you send is distorted and unstable, and reality manifests that same confusion. You draw unstable relationships, erratic finances, and situations that mirror your lack of internal clarity. Manifestation then doesn't fail. It merely reflects what you truly are, not what you claim to want. The good news? Vibrational coherence can be trained. It arises from daily practice, observing your thoughts, adjusting your emotions, and aligning your actions with what you desire to live. When this alignment becomes natural, manifestation ceases to be effort. It becomes the inevitable consequence of who you've become. In quantum physics, there's a fascinating phenomenon called the observer effect. It shows that simply observing a particle alters its behavior. It collapses from multiple possibilities into a definite form. In other words, reality changes when it's observed. But this process doesn't depend solely on the physical gaze. It's deeply influenced by the emotional charge and expectation accompanying that observation. And this is precisely where most people fail. They observe reality with fear, anxiety, and doubt, and don't realize they're blocking the manifestation of what they desire. Jacobo Grinberg understood this dynamic at a profound level. He asserted that consciousness not only interacts with reality, but also structures it. That means the way you observe the world defines what will be manifested. But it's not about seeing with your eyes, but observing with your vibration. The quantum field doesn't respond to what you see, but to the frequency at which you observe. If you look at life expecting something to go wrong, you vibrate negative collapse. If you look to the future with certainty that it's already done, you attract the positive collapse of what you wish to live. This is where emotional expectation comes in. When you desire something but doubt its possibility, you emit two conflicting signals: the request and the denial. The field responds to the stronger impulse, and unfortunately, fear is often more intense than desire. That's why manifestations don't occur, not because the process is flawed, but because the observation is incoherent. The universe doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you believe with feeling. Joe Dispenza teaches that the key lies in generating emotion before reality changes. He shows that the combination of focused thoughts and elevated emotions, like gratitude, trust, and joy, creates a coherent and powerful signal that instructs the quantum field to collapse the corresponding reality. This requires practice, because we're trained to react to reality, not to shape it. But once you learn to feel in advance what you wish to live, you become the conscious collapser of your own existence. Imagine for a moment that you're a transmitter, like a radio antenna. If you want to tune into a particular station, you must dial exactly that frequency. Wishing to hear 98.7 FM won't help if you're set to 88.1 FM. The signal won't come through. The same holds true for reality. If you desire abundance but are emotionally tuned to scarcity, there's no way to receive what lies on another vibrational band. Emotional expectation is the energy behind observation. It's the fuel that transforms intention into creation. When you view your life with confidence, gratitude, and a silent certainty that everything is already in motion, the field has no choice. It collapses what you've already become internally. And that's when the invisible becomes visible. One of the biggest traps on the manifestation journey is waiting for life to improve, for money to arrive, for love to appear, for signs to manifest. But quantum truth is clear. While you wait, you're affirming that you aren't yet. In the quantum field, everything you affirm vibrationally, consciously or not, is treated as reality. Waiting, then, perpetuates absence. It declares to the universe that what you desire is distant, inaccessible, or out of reach. Jacobo Grinberg taught that reality reflects what's already structured in the mind. That means it's not about reaching for something out there, but activating a new identity internally. And that identity only manifests when you stop waiting and start being. Being is the state of someone who already sees themselves as the bearer of what they desire. It's feeling, breathing, acting, and thinking as if you're already living that version of reality, not as an illusion, but as a conscious act of collapsing possibilities into the now. The mind, programmed for linear time, resists this idea. It wants to see to believe, but the quantum field works in the opposite order. You must believe to see. Physical seeing is merely the delay of what has already occurred energetically. Waiting, therefore, becomes a cycle of stagnation. Each day you position yourself as someone who will have, will achieve, will reach. You reinforce the delay. In contrast, the decision to be now activates the precise frequency of what you seek, and the field, as a vibrational mirror, responds. This is the turning point. When you wake up and instead of recalling scarcity, choose to feel prosperous. When you decide to walk with the posture of someone who trusts. When you speak, think, and breathe as though you've already received. This isn't a sham. It's tuning. The universe doesn't respond to performance. It responds to coherence. And coherence happens when your inner experience already faithfully represents the reality you wish to attract. At that point, time ceases to be an enemy. You stop counting days, seeking signs, and measuring results. Anxiety dissolves because you understand that it's not about getting closer to your desire, but about becoming it. External reality merely follows the movement of internal reality. And the more you sustain that frequency, the more the world around you begins to bend to reflect that new identity. The art of stopping waiting and starting being is, in truth, an act of vibrational faith. It's a quantum leap of identity. When you assume the vibration of what you desire to live, you send a clear, unequivocal signal to the field, I already am. And the field responds just as consistently as it always does. There's a paradox that prevents many from manifesting the reality they want. The path is so simple that the ego can't accept it. We've been conditioned to believe that anything valuable must be earned through effort, pain, or struggle. This belief is deeply rooted in the collective unconscious, and so when we're presented with the simplicity of the quantum field, where everything moves by frequency rather than effort, the rational mind rejects it. The ego wants to complicate, to control, to prove that it works. But the universe doesn't respond to complexity, it responds to coherence. Jacobo Grinberg understood that the barriers of perception are sustained not by lack of ability, but by resistance to simplicity. What is hidden isn't distant, it's veiled by layers of mental noise. The quantum field, with its pure vibrational logic, doesn't demand elaborate formulas. It demands presence. It demands truth. It demands that you shed everything superfluous and return to what is essential, your inner state. And that's exactly what the ego fears most, because the ego thrives on complexity. It feeds on the chase, and if the chase ends, the ego loses control. That's why so many can't access the quantum field's secrets. They're not ready to relinquish the identity they built around struggle. Becoming someone who manifests naturally requires a profound renunciation, the renunciation of pain as a source of value, of suffering as proof of worthiness, of waiting as the path to fulfillment. The process's simplicity unsettles the ego because it disarms the narratives that justify not yet. The quantum field responds to those who are clean inside, free of doubt, haste, and the need to prove something to the world. It responds to those who simply vibrate what they desire to be, without hurry and without pressure. And that state is only accessed by those who have already crossed the desert of the mind, by those who are tired of seeking externally what has always been available within. Simplicity isn't a lack of depth. It's the deepest form of truth. Manifestation isn't about memorizing techniques, repeating phrases, or following formulas. It's about aligning. It's about returning to center. It's about remembering that the universe already knows what you want. The only thing missing is for you to become it. And becoming it doesn't demand Herculean effort. It demands vibrational honesty. It demands the courage to be simple in a world that idolizes the complicated. Those who are ready access. It's not because they deserve more, but because they stop resisting, because they accept that manifestation is the natural reflection of being, not the reward for doing. And those who understand this finally see what the quantum field has always hidden in plain sight. The key isn't in chasing. It's in tuning into what is already yours by vibrational right. Now that you've grasped what the quantum field truly requires to collapse your possibilities, it's time to act, not out of desperation, but out of alignment. True transformation begins when you decide to stop waiting and start living as if you're already within the reality you desire. This isn't a game of illusion, it's vibrational training. With each day, each thought, each emotion, you have the chance to rewrite your frequency. And when that frequency stabilizes, reality inevitably reorganizes. Apply what you've learned here. Choose a new internal posture. Strengthen your coherence. Release effort and embrace presence. And above all, remember, you don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you are. If this content resonated with you, subscribe now to the channel and turn on notifications. Share this video with someone who also needs to access this code. And comment below, "I live now what I once waited for." That phrase isn't just an affirmation, it's a vibrational signal to the field, showing that you're ready. Your new reality already exists. All that remains is for you to become the portal through which it arrives.